The June 28th, 2019 Historical Commission meeting. Need a second. Second or proposal?
Or just
Motion.
We're good.
review the minutes. Everyone's ready
Everyone
with
get
the
the minutes
minutes?
from February 1st, hopefully. I'm looking at the agenda. So, historic district progress.
Yes, I've worked my way, thankfully, it's going pretty well. I've worked my way down Main Street. I've got most of Main Street done. There's a few properties on the western end of town, which are mostly infill, which I haven't completed. I've got all of A, B, C, D streets, cemetery, that side's done. I've got, what's the one that goes all the way up? Off of Gilboa. I got most of Gilboa's done, and then it's the one that goes up to the big house on the hill, the federal, it's like Channing or Manning or something.
Is it Cummings?
Cummings Court.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
a meetings, I was gonna say, that's up by the res.
Yeah, right.
And so hopefully, not this month, but next month, I'll have pretty much all of it complete. I've got a few more to do up on Depot Street. I did take a bunch of photos in spring about a month or so ago when things were beautiful. It was one of those beautiful
Perfect.
spring mornings. I wanted to get some of the little more challenged visual properties at their absolute best, because if you look at the Douglas mapping, which I use
Yeah.
for a lot of the images are crap. They're just really, some guy's taking a picture, they're not square, they're cloudy, they don't look good. I want them to look as good as possible, so whenever I'll look at one of those, I'll just make a note and gotta reshoot that. So I've
Okay.
shot most of the ones, even the infill, I want them to look better. And most of the ones along Main Street are pretty good, but there are one or two that are a little derelict. Well, they've got, bad paint and stuff, and so you try to do the best you can with it. So hopefully, yes, before the month is out. And what I've been doing is taking them off and put them onto I keep forgetting what they're called.
Like the USB stick?
USB
Oh,
sticks.
sorry.
I've got them on a USB stick, and at some
Okay.
point I'll drop them off with Dawn probably
Okay, and I
next
can do a
month.
final
Right,
check of everything.
Check of everything. I got,
I'm a little confused if we have like a finite, if we have a good list of what all the properties
Yeah.
should be.
I have it written out. I don't have my printers down. What I'll do is send it over to Donna, or make a PDF of it and send it off to everybody. But I've had that list for quite some time.
Okay.
'Cause after we had the Mass Historic Commission out, 10 years ago, and they actually thought we could expand the district a bit.
Yeah.
That's the list I've been working with.
Okay,
Um,
with that expanded.
Yeah. So it goes up to Franklin Street, I think just one or two properties up
Mhm.
Franklin, and it goes a little ways further out, Gilboa towards the mill, along the right, just before you get to the, what's
all
it
the way
called?
to the
What's it called
east.
now? It's not Worcester Envelope Company. There's a new,
No,
you had another
Simplex
name named something now.
Or something.
I know, I drive by all the
It's like
time.
Symbiotic or
The-
something. It's got
the
some new
envelope
name.
company.
Well, because it's not.
It's not in
big,
Douglas.
It's small. It's small print that they've. It's not huge. that
On the
they-
sign,
Yeah.
yeah.
And, as you know, we did lose two properties. We lost one on Mechanic Street.
Yeah.
And it got torn down. It was in pretty bad shape. I think Unibank owns that lot, and now they put a fence up, of course, right against their lot for that. I don't think there was anything salvageable in the building besides the foundation stones. And we
How old
lost
was that house?
1850.
What's the second one? When did I forget?
The one, it wasn't in the district, one
Oh.
on the causeway, just before, Northwest Main, just
Uh-huh.
before you go across that little bend in the causeway, there was a house on the left built in 1890.
yes.
That was a wreck, I think Sotheby's or Christie's
They
had
fi-
it.
Yeah, they
It was
finally.
gutted.
Oh my! It was horrible.
Yeah.
And they left the barn because the barn was in better shape,
shape than
than
the
the
house.
house.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
That
yeah.
never happens. Right by the causeway?
Let's
Okay.
see. That house, I want to say.
If you go up
has
Northwest
been-
Main Street, go past.
Oh, you're
that's his
coming from
house.
the other direction when you
Yeah.
say on the.
So when the road splits, one
Yeah.
goes across the long causeway, on the left you go by John's house, the right one goes down, they
You're
repaved the
going by the water
road.
slides.
Yeah.
Before you get to the
Okay.
water slides, you go down that hill and go across that little spillway.
Yeah.
At the end, just before that, there was a house on the left, and there's a new house going up there.
Okay.
And I checked with the realtor, so yeah, it's a modest house, and funny thing is, they've got water rights, but they don't really have any water view. There's two or
Yeah.
three houses right down along the water in front of them.
I honestly thought somebody that lived right there would have bought it and
Yeah.
kind of
You
expanded
would think.
backwards, but
Because they got a little,
didn't.
25-foot wide section,
Yeah.
to give them water rights.
But, no,
But that one's gone, and,
But that house has been abandoned for
Yeah.
probably 10
yeah,
years
long
minimum.
time. I went in it, probably 8-10 months ago, in the
Wow.
winter, and when it was, or in the fall, when it was opened up and it was just gutted, there really was nothing inside salvageable.
So, oh, so they're putting a new house up, you said that?
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's, they've actually got the whole framing up now.
Yeah.
I don't think they can do a lot based on unless they left a corner of the
setbacks, yeah.
foundation based
Yeah.
on what they've got for zoning.
Yeah.
They can't put up a huge house by
Right.
any means.
There's
Okay.
height- there's
They
height
have this-
restrictions in left and right, and, because it's,
And-
Oh, height restriction.
there is a, what's the word? There's an organization for, whatever, is that Wachusett Reservoir? No. what's
Oh,
it?
White
Reservoir.
the reservoir,
Manchow
they've got,
Pond.
yeah, they've got it's because they wanted to drain the res, they were gonna drain the res, so everybody on the res ended up joining,
Yeah, I
like
can't
an
remember the name of it. There's an
association,
yeah.
association.
so that they wouldn't drain the res, but they've got rules and regulations, and it's up to them to keep the res at a decent level and all
Yeah.
of that.
And
Yeah,
apparently
they-
there's
they-
no
they pay
swimming
into
there
annual.
of any kind unless you live there.
Or you
And there's the
know-
water slides.
Or the ways into the woods.
Yeah.
I was followed into the woods by the police to say, don't come down here.
Really?
Like, quite a ways in, like half a mile in.
So that's where we stand on the properties. And as long as I'm going through stuff. I just, got sworn back in again
Yay.
last week.
I never know what the cycle is, right? If they send me something, I can do it.
Yeah, so I think,
They'll bug you.
yeah, here's yours if you didn't already get one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I did get one.
you did?
I don't know if anyone's.
So I don't,
right?
if yours is up again, you probably have a notice. That's mine again, so
Oh, we
mine,
got sworn into that. Oh, but we were different terms.
yeah, it's different
Yes.
terms. So I'm back in for the next, I don't know, 3 years, whatever it is. I just took care of that this week. So if you do have one pending, just take care of it. And they want you to, of course, to sign off on the ethics training,
Yeah.
which I knew I had done. And we have the rule book, the meeting rule book, every one of us does.
Okay. That was it for the mail, David? Nothing else interesting?
There was a,
We'll have to add that to the agenda, mail call.
yeah, there was an Empowering Our Community Through History, a conference on Massachusetts History Organization of People. That was June 24th, last week in Worcester, in fact. One of these hopefully I'll go to, Mass History Alliance. It's not the same as the Preservation Massachusetts thing. Did you all get that email from Preservation Mass?
No.
They send one out like every month or so with updates. So take a look, or I'll send a link out to you.
Preservation Mass.
Yeah. I think it's through the Mass Historic, but it's Preservation Mass, and they have seminars and stuff if you want to get, because we do have threatened properties in
Yeah,
town.
so that's what I wanted.
That's probably the next
That
thing
is
on our
next
agenda.
on the agenda, and I want to talk about that, and I have a question which I might have my own answer to. Because there was that whole, I sent a message to you guys, I think, that there was
Yeah.
that whole discussion. Well, the next on the agenda is threatened properties, including, we did the tour of the grammar school and the old VFW, and then there was a thing on Facebook about the fire station on Cottage Street. And so if there are any threatened properties, we could go after grants, right?
Right.
But normally, you'd need some kind of matching funds for that.
Right,
So I
and that's the
believe
tough-
that would mean going before the capital improvements committee.
Yeah, I think that's right.
But then, I'm not sure how that works timing-wise. Like, do you go for a grant first? Or do
You
talk
find
to
a
the town?
purpose first.
Find a purpose, you
Yeah.
have to
You
have a
have to
very,
find a purpose,
and
a
that-
need in the community for that building.
And it's gotta be extremely
Yes.
detailed. It
Yeah.
can't be, it can't be broad.
you want to save the building, yeah, that's not it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so then you'd write, but then would you go for would you talk to the committee first and then go for the grant?
Probably.
It depends on what
Cause-
it might depend on what the grant outlines.
Yep.
Okay.
I think it'd be prudent just to talk to them in a casual way, just to say, hey, we're thinking of going after this.
Yeah,
And
yeah. And I'm not sure, I mean, So we've, like, the ones we've identified are the fire station, the grammar school, and the old VFW,
Right.
but they're all huge projects,
Yeah,
you
they're
know?
not
The
simple
problem with the
projects.
fire station is there's no parking,
Yeah, right.
and there's
And
no place
that's-
to put parking.
That's kind of the, well, that's the problem with the grammar school too.
Right.
Not so much the VFW, a little bit, but,
Well, there's plenty of parking around the grammar school, but it's just pavement.
Right.
And
do you think this, well,
Yeah.
It's all pavement around the thing. Not that
Yeah.
that's,
Okay.
there was probably playgrounds and other stuff when it was open.
yeah.
But I
yeah.
mean, when they used to do the haunted house, I mean, that was all people parked there.
There was enough room, okay.
Oh, yeah, and I mean,
You
that
put like
thing,
50, 60 cars up there, I would think.
yeah, that thing was like, there were constant cars there.
Yeah,
I saw people at the, when I drove home the other day, there were people at the VFW. The VFW was open.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what was
Oh.
going on there,
oh,
but.
I can't imagine holding.
Well, no, I mean, it could have somebody in the town doing something, but the VFW was open and it looked like they were either bringing stuff in or taking more stuff out.
Right,
Mhm.
I guess is the latter, yeah. And without, this is just my opinion, without having plumbing and other stuff functional in there, I didn't see a whole lot in the building that was
Salvageable.
salvageable. And,
And this is the VFW?
yeah,
Yeah,
the old school up by where I am.
yeah.
Because it's a 1920s era building. There's not a whole lot of architectural oompa
Yeah.
there, but I'm just throwing that out. If you think it's a real fine piece that needs to be preserved, fine. I just didn't feel it's necessary.
I think the old grammar school has
A lot more.
more bones to it.
Right, and better
Yeah,
value.
well, it's a lot bigger.
A lot bigger, yeah. But
then
that's
we-
been around, so it's been gone through so
Yeah.
many times with
Don't they have a
town.
committee that looks into that?
I
Yeah,
think they
it just
dissolved it,
it just
though.
dissolved it
Oh, they did?
sometime,
Oh, okay.
2018.
Because that's how,
Because
So
we've
much
had,
for
it was out on the market, it was open for bids for, God,
And
probably
nobody
5
bought
to
it.
10 years,
Well,
and no one's,
well, because of the elementary school's right there, so there's a lot of restrictions
there's
on what they can
restrictions.
do there.
The driveway in from by either side of the post office is very tight, so that makes it very, with the traffic,
They can
10,000
do
cars a
elderly
day.
housing though, can't they?
yeah.
Maybe.
That's about it.
That's about it, but you have to be de-leaded,
Yeah.
which is, 6 figures
Yeah.
for the building of that scale. So, and again, the mortgage rates are cheap, lending is hot right now, so someone may bite.
Mhm.
But yeah, probably worth talking to the capital committee first and say, hey, we're thinking about this, because otherwise we know money is so tight in town because of everything, because we have no strong business infrastructure.
Right, so maybe that's our solution.
Really, the only thing that could be done with the old fire station is like either storage or,
Which I think it is already.
Yeah, they use it for some of that.
They do.
but I can't really think of anything else that
That's fine.
not having parking that
Is-
you're able to do there.
And it's
Right.
not like it's walkable from
Expandable.
downtown, or,
Right,
not really, not really
and the
like,
man that
There,
owns.
it's far enough from downtown
Yeah,
that
that's
it's not
correct.
convenient. Like,
right.
the old grammar school is relatively
Yeah.
convenient speaking,
It's
Right.
walkable, yeah.
but yeah, no, that just goes a little bit past.
Yeah, yeah.
The guy that owns the big Schuster Mansion has, and this is public knowledge, has a proposal in the works.
Wait,
For-
which one? The old
The-
cave
the
house?
big, the big
Oh, the
monster,
big
the
one
big
up in the
Schuster
back.
Mansion.
In the big, okay. I thought,
And
isn't
he
that up
owns-
for sale?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for some time.
Yeah, it's been on for, that's why I got confused.
but at the same time, he had, and I'm not sure where the status of this is, because our office had the listing for a while. He had proposed, and I think the town he had jumped through the initial hoops, a like 20-house subdivision going up along the driveway adjacent to the next cave mansion that's up there, which would be to the left and back up by the other Schuster Mansion, all along there. And I've seen the plans for the whole thing.
The last thing this town needs is another subdevelopment.
Right.
Well, what was proposed was changing the zoning at the last, it was annual or town meeting, so that they could do more like a public venue, like especially weddings there, and go away from adding a lot more
Right,
houses there,
right.
so that was passed.
Okay.
Who knows what will
But
actually
that,
happen?
I'm only saying that because that pond is directly adjacent to the fire station, that's his property. So maybe he has some
Hunts
resource.
Pond.
Yeah, Hunts Pond. And there's multiple ponds that go up there
Mhm.
to feed into that, to go all the way back to Depot Street,
Yep.
Okay.
so.
The idea, like, doing something like a wedding venue would be, like, it's
Yeah,
a
that would
beautiful
be-
area.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So really, as much as it would be great to save the fire station, I don't know that it's.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah,
I
last
mean-
on the list.
right.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you can't really put anything there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the lot is very limited.
And, I mean, I can't even think of what you would put there.
Right. Right. Unless it's offices, but who wants to take that on, right?
And it would have to be somebody that doesn't get people walking.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
flow, daily flow is gonna be an
Yeah.
issue. Same when we had the brick block in Sutton.
Mm-hmm.
They don't wanna do a car and a person count. And this came up again, through a friend of mine. The big parcel just in front of the town transfer station, that big flat swath,
Yeah.
there is a proposal and it may,
We've like
Still,
since been met
there's
on.
gonna be Dunkin' Donuts
Yep.
and something else. It was gonna be and I've seen the plans, a multi-use building. And I think I've attended several of the hearings here about that. And the proponents have jumped through the hoops and I think met most of the criteria. I have a buyer who's interested in possibly having a building in that parcel, but I'm not sure where that stands. But it's one of the last commercial pieces of property on Route 16 between Old Douglas and downtown Douglas.
Mhm.
Just throwing it out there as a what if. I don't think
Yeah,
it's ever
'cause
had
the
anything on it.
traffic that the little Dunkin' Donuts creates
Right.
down there.
Yep, so that's why they want to move it across the street, but they have, the plan for it, which I think is online, is, it's got 40, 50 parking spaces, and there's a whole drive around, it's getting in and out of Rydell, that's tough, because there's a bit limited sight line going down Route 16, and people are coming up there 45 miles an hour, so.
Mhm.
And they could change the speed limit, but it's not gonna change people coming up
No.
that hill 45 miles an
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. So, well, we talked about this. The next thing on the agenda: grant possibilities for other threatened properties like the fire station, Masonic Hall, mill site on Route 16, the library, etc. So I think we mostly covered that, and then
the real site on Route 16, is that the sawmill?
I think so.
That's privately owned.
Yes.
And so
Yep.
and so is the Masonic Hall
Yep.
and the
And
library
technically
in the
the-
town.
Actually, technically, the library is not the town.
Oh,
Well, it is and it's not. If the library closed, the town does not have the rights to the
right.
building.
Because it has to be a library.
Because it has to be a library, so it would
Right.
have to go, so like I said, yes and no, like,
Well, you guys are doing a
Right.
great job, and the library's, it's got as much action as it's had ever.
Yeah.
And,
And luckily, it's not threatened for a little bit.
and I do know that they are working on doing some improvements and they are working towards getting grants and that type of stuff.
Yeah, they have a proposal to make
Yeah,
it
Justin Smith.
accessible.
I get the newsletter on that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he, newsletter had all of the 3-year plan and now.
Yeah, that new.
Now his 5-year plan that he's
Yep.
planning on.
Yeah.
Good. It'd be nice if things come through on that, we could use that as a template for potential other threatened properties, because I know Justin and you guys do a very good job there.
Okay. So do we want to pursue anything about talking to the capital improvement
Yeah.
committee on a casual basis, or
Yeah, let's do
getting
that
on an
first.
agenda?
So are we going with the old grammar school?
Yeah,
I think the grammar school's the one that's, yeah, probably the first one.
And what would we do with it?
Yeah, what would we do with it?
What's the big, or, I don't know, should we talk about both the VFW and the grammar school? Because one's been fought to death, the grammar school, and the VFW's has some benefits of being more on the main road.
Are you talking about preserving the buildings? Or are you talking about the land value to the town?
Well, preserving the buildings, but not for just as a building, that it would bring revenue in and be functional and not just be an eyesore. And I guess for what we had looked at, just the three of us went to the grammar school, is that maybe it's just more like a housing sort of a situation. Because that's just a little bit set off the road as far as a business that needs a lot of traffic.
Right.
So more like housing developer, that's the first.
Yeah, I would think, I know developers in the area, and I'm just surprised that we haven't seen more, something, where people come in and say, and I don't think
Yeah.
our rules and regs are so strict that people shun, oh, I'm not coming into Douglas.
I think, we're trying to make them really friendly, right? Like,
Yeah,
whatever you want to
okay,
do.
whatever you want to do, as long as it meets the code, yeah.
Yeah, to some extent.
Because the housing building in town is, all up by the campgrounds up along there and
Mm-hmm.
in the peripherals around town. There's building going on. You see the trucks going through town all the time.
Everybody wants new housing.
Right.
I mean, what's the cost differential to build a new one as opposed to redo
Tearing
that one?
them down. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
problem.
Actually, this was many years ago, but when I was in grammar school, the first and second grade in Bellingham, it's since been developed into housing, so it'd be like a good model. It's like a really similar building.
And what's the one they did in Uxbridge?
I was just
Yeah, yeah.
thinking
Yeah,
about that
and
one.
Uxbridge.
What's the name of that?
Blanchard School.
But
Blanchard
that
School.
that was still
Blanchard.
somewhat active.
Yes.
That's
But that one had the same problem. It had asbestos. It had
Right,
lead.
exactly, but they did it.
but also our biggest problem is that building's been abandoned for so long.
Right.
Yeah, we've got a longer time period where it's been out of.
Out of anything.
Yeah, when
being
did it shut down?
80?
I was gonna say
Before I
the.
came to town in the 90s.
I want to say the elementary school went up late 70s.
Yeah, I said 78 to 80, somewhere around there.
Was the elementary school or the elementary school I went to?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when that opened, the other one shut down.
Okay.
And I think there might have been plans going back to 72 for the old elementary.
Plans for
No, no plans. The elementary school, there were plans going back to 72 for building it.
Oh, not the grammar school in
No,
elementary.
yeah. Well, there are like 8 elementary schools now.
Are there really? Oh my gosh.
No, but
There's two. It's like a primary and an elementary.
And then there's
And
the.
then the middle, and then the high school. So it's 4.
I mean, I'm sure they've looked at tons of options, but I mean, with the administration for schools, I can't think of
But maybe it's worth it.
adult night classes they
Right,
could
exactly,
hold.
yeah.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
a million
The one
possibilities.
so the one in Bellingham had gone from an elementary school. I didn't pay that much attention to what happened after it stopped being an elementary school, but at one point in the middle it was like an art center. You know, they probably didn't make a whole lot of money, but it was something that was keeping it going and not falling down. And then I don't know if it didn't become financially viable or whatever. And then they developed it into apartments, so it wasn't completely abandoned. But anyway, it might be worth
Yeah.
trying to figure out who did both of the Blanchard School and the one in Bellingham. For
Yeah.
some
March,
ideas or.
March 74 was the cost estimates proposed for the elementary school.
Okay,
So if you figure, yeah,
that sounds about right.
45 years. Yeah.
So, and then
Um,
the haunted house hasn't been there in 20.
Yeah, around
15,
15,
20.
15, 20 years.
So I
It's
mean,
just too spooky to be a haunted house now.
like I said, it was scarier when it wasn't
But anyway.
when it wasn't running, when you were just walking around. But I mean, that's the last time anything was done in there.
They use it as a police station. Oh, I think that was looked at though.
But because it's
The traffic.
and the proximity
Yeah.
to the schools,
Yeah.
Right, you don't want to have
Everything-
keeping criminals overnight and
everything's a proximity
to
to
school.
Like I said, that's the biggest.
Can't have a liquor store in proximity to school. Surprised Diggers is still there.
Yeah, how far does it have to be? Because those are not very far.
But like I said, one of the
Or
biggest.
next to a church.
one of the biggest problems we're facing is its location.
It's grandfathered, yeah.
I
Mm.
mean, you've got the church, you've got the school.
Yeah, but if it was housing, that's a plus, you know, your kids are like,
Right
walk to
there.
school.
Yeah,
But then you're also dealing with who's allowed to live there becomes very strict. You've got to be careful about predators,
Yeah.
that type of stuff as well.
chapter 8, not easy.
That's why, like, whenever we've talked about it, I go like a community center would probably be.
You mean something the town owns, a community center, or more like, a privately owned, you probably don't have the answer, but.
Either or, but more like community center.
Like that art center in Bellingham kind of thing, that's one thing.
Like, honestly, because community center, you're dealing with, well, then you've got after-school programs. And if you can find a way to tie it into the schools, then you're
Oh.
taking out that idea of, or the problem of the
Yeah,
proximity to the school.
it's a positive instead. What about alternatives? They have lots of buildings around.
I can ask. All right. It's now called, I think, Open Sky.
Oh,
They've joined up
I
with
didn't know.
another firm
Right.
further
let
north,
me know.
and now it's Open Sky.
I said, I'm just, the location is against us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it,
Well,
like you said, it
alternatives-
could be turned
Oh,
around.
Alternative Open Sky they're working on a proposal for the Banning Flower Shop up on the hill. We've had some work done on that. There's greenhouses up there, which are just frames for greenhouses.
Right.
But there's a proposal, they're working on trying to get that done, and I should have brought those down, I have plans I can send those to you,
Yeah.
for the interior, we have the same problem there, we have that restaurant space right off the piazza, but parking, you have to park across the street, there's no parking in there per se, there is, but there's not enough. So just, people don't know there's a restaurant space in there, so it's very tough to try to get someone in there who want to use the space, even though it's got a great view across to Mumford and the mills across there, it's a nice spot.
Right.
The other thing, if you tie it into the schools, parking won't be as much of an issue.
Because they could park at the
Well,
school.
they'll park at the schools, and if you're dealing with more students, then you're dealing with more with like
Bikes and
pick up,
walking.
drop off,
Mhm.
and employees or volunteers with
Right.
vehicles.
Oh.
You're not dealing with people
Everybody
needing
there.
constant parking. And then if they do, it would most likely be an after-school event, so then they could use elementary school parking.
Yeah.
And there is an apartment complex that comes off of Depot Street, on the street adjacent to it, that goes back towards that school, but it doesn't go all the way through. And at some point, I know there was talk about making that road connect.
A
like that was-
throughway.
Right, that was gonna connect right through there,
Mhm.
so that they could come in, besides coming in off of Route 16, they could come up off of Depot Street, almost from this building, and go over towards the new elementary school. that area.
Right.
But back to your point, Becky, about like a community center, like, what's the one that burned down in Uxbridge? That, yeah, that had all, I'm sure it was
That had a
very
community
inexpensive
center
and they
too.
didn't do a lot, but yeah, that was like, again, I don't know how much financially viable it is, but
Yeah.
you know, you've got like your antique store, consignment stores, and then, I don't know, band space and a whole lot of
Yeah, hair
artists.
salons.
and-
Well, the thing with the grammar schools, the rooms are huge. Those rooms are very, very big.
Right.
So,
Like 20 by 30, yeah.
so that's one thing the town doesn't have are big rooms.
Yeah.
I wonder if Quincy
And that's
sometimes
from-
puts out satellite.
That Quinsig, I think, actually currently has their space in alternatives in that restaurant. They have
Oh,
They
really?
do.
In Whitensville?
But yeah, but they don't use it, as far as I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
Lawrenceville. It's called like Quinsig Cafe.
They have one in
Oh.
Southbridge too. They have
Yeah.
like a satellite.
Yeah, that's what this is, a kind of a satellite school.
Right.
But as far as I know, they don't use it, or use it very rarely.
Oh, okay.
That's an option. Yeah, the schools,
I mean, that would tie in, they could do like alternative classing
Right.
classes or night classes or,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
And if you do night classes, then both the post office and the senior center are closed, and that gives you extra parking.
right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
it's all about timing. When would the events be held there? That type of stuff. What type of events are you looking to hold? Or what types of not businesses, but programs, whatever, are you looking to bring in?
The only thing that's disheartening about it is the committee that was looking for ways to use it disbanded, right? So it feels like
They disbanded it due to lack of interest, or they just?
I thought because they were just hitting a roadblock,
Oh,
you
maybe.
know? But,
But if you're looking to sell it, you're gonna hit roadblocks. If you're looking to convert it, you might not. You'll hit different roadblocks, but it might be a little bit more open.
yeah, convert it for the town would convert it and they just alone it. Yeah, okay. All right, so what are our action items on it? I just wanna make sure that we're, know what we wanna do.
On the grammar school?
Yeah,
Or any of them?
grammar school specifically is
Yeah,
what
let's
I
just,
meant.
everyone write up different ideas for proposals and just send them around to each other, and then maybe we can meet with the
Okay.
capital improvement group.
Okay.
I'm happy to do that.
Okay, does someone wanna, I could see what I could find, it's been many years since they've converted the school in Bellingham, but I could see what I could find there. I don't know who's the best to check with the Blanchard
I'll check on the
school.
Blanchard School.
Okay,
Mike Potaski. I think he had something to do with that.
I'm
Who's he?
sure he did.
Yeah.
There's no way
he's
he
an
did.
Uxbridge person, or?
Yes.
Okay,
There's no way he
he didn't?
There's no way he didn't. Am I wrong?
I don't know.
You might even know about the Burnett thing too.
Yes, he would.
Yeah.
He's a very good historian.
Potaski.
All right.
P or T?
Potaski. He lives in Linwood, but on the Uxbridge side, not the Northbridge side.
Okay, all right, good, so something to do there. And then future projects. Anyone wanna add anything to the list?
Downtown beautification. Didn't I see something about that? Wasn't there something? I know they
What
put
would you
flags out,
beautify?
and I know they put flags out, and they put flowers on the phone poles and some such. It'd be nice if, most of you probably seen the book, there's probably one, a copy of it around here. It's like they raced horses on Main Street, you know, the books that show
Right.
what this town looked like 100 years ago,
Yeah.
when there was incredible amount of civic pride. And they had, the whole
We assume-
downtown was covered with bunting and stuff, and parades that went on
Yeah.
forever. We have the Oktoberfest, which is part of that. But it seemed like they were doing stuff like that all the time. Or just do an exhibit of that stuff. If you have some of the images,
Yeah,
And
I've
the-
got all of
yeah, from the archives,
Yeah.
have it up in the library. Or put them up in the school.
Yeah, I know, it's like we don't have a place to show
Right.
things
That's just, we
necessarily.
have a communal place to show.
And
Stuff
I think,
like
I
here.
really do think that's what you do need, but like I said, like a community center or something.
Would
Yeah.
people use it though?
I don't know. I know one of the problems with the library is we don't have study rooms.
Mhm.
You also don't have a large population of the town in town during the daytime. Most of the population arrives back here between 6 and 8
Yeah.
p.m. You know?
Yeah, we're largely a bedroom community for Worcester and
And
Points
we're-
East.
We're a very spread out community as
Yeah.
well.
Yes,
Yeah,
geographically.
people that mostly
Like-
live off in the woods.
And I do think that's one of the other problems is,
Yeah, so probably people on the other side of town would like to have a community center, but there's no old buildings there to partake of.
Right, and most people are looking for something for their children, like during the summer, during the daytime.
Yeah,
I mean, that's why the Whiten Community Center does so well.
yeah,
You know?
Right.
right.
And they got a pool.
They do, 2 of them.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we need to add, a community pool.
Up on
Go
the
over
roof.
well.
On pond. We'll make a diving board off of the fire station.
There you go.
That wouldn't be a liability.
Yeah, no.
the one thing about VFW Community Center, you've also got the soccer field in the back.
You do?
I mean, you could, and you've got a little bit more space, you could put, I mean, we've got the basketball courts here, but then basketball courts on the other end of town. The one nice thing about the VFW is it's spreading things out a little bit more. The grammar school, you're keeping everything in the center of an already congested town. Because I mean, the center of town is
Congested.
very congested. I mean, when I used to work in Worcester, they wouldn't believe me when I'm like, I got stuck in traffic in town. They're like,
You're stuck in
it's
Douglas? Yeah.
We have
It's like,
One road.
one road. Like, do you know what happens if anything goes on? You're not getting out of town. So,
I've seen traffic backing up to the west, up to your street, to Sunset, into downtown,
yeah.
because of the schools mostly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the one. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but that's a positive of the
You talk
VFW.
with your hands a lot.
I do.
Step back, David.
That's one positive of the VFW over the grammar
Right,
school.
right.
Yeah. And it's not as big of a project.
And it's still two very large rooms.
Yeah.
I know. I guess we could, either way, we're talking a similar sort of a project, right? So we could transfer the ideas from one to the other, basically.
Yeah.
And we're talking to these other people. And then we're talking to the capital improvement, then we can do preliminary talks about either one. And, I mean, you could still have the community center with the, not as big, but still big rooms where you can fit 20 people.
Right.
And the thing is, if you did want after-school programs, buses already go by there.
That's true.
Make it,
Do you think there's a big interest in that?
In a community center?
Yeah.
I know like at the library, people do talk like needing stuff for the kids to do that type of stuff, the couple of I mean, Deb does a great job with the programs we
Yeah.
have, but do we need a couple more programs, that type of stuff?
Yeah, and you know, the one, well, a little more of a plus at the VFW is there's maybe some outdoor stuff that could
Like I said,
happen.
you've got the soccer fields in the
Yeah.
back, you could putting in a basketball court's not difficult.
No.
Right,
Not difficult at all.
right, right. Okay.
But I just, wonder what is the community looking for?
So, all right, here's an idea. What if we were somehow to go talk to either the selectmen or, I don't know if Dynamic Douglas is the place to do it, but maybe it's more like, okay, we haven't interacted enough with other people in the town, no one comes to our meetings.
Oh, I invited everybody from the fire station to discussion, just to come in and talk.
So
Nobody's-
maybe it's just getting on the selectmen's agenda and saying,
Right.
the historic commission is here and we want to like help either write, proposals or something to look into some of the threatened properties and to get things going and,
Are we beating a dead horse?
we're, open to, doing some investigation or,
I also, and I think
Finding
fire
grants.
station is a great example. Till something's threatened, people don't think about it,
Right.
they don't care about it.
Right.
yeah.
But there's no plans to remove them either, is there?
No.
No.
We're just gonna let them continue
Fall down.
to,
Until something maybe either something
Right, I
falls
mean,
or
the
someone
Duhamel
gets
house
hurt.
is still there, and this is still there.
And plus it's a cost to demo them, right? And then you've got, well, that's,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much it would cost to remove a piece of, remove it, but.
so David, the fire station's in the district, right? But,
Yeah.
and the Graham, all this is, not
Yeah.
not the VFW, that's too far.
No, is it in our,
I
it's
think
in
it's
our,
in the
the
east,
other
it's in the east,
district. Yeah,
it's in the old
Okay.
Douglas district.
So then we should have
Because it goes right,
another,
because it goes down to John
they should
Manning's
have
house.
to,
yeah.
there's another layer there right before anything gets demoed too.
Right.
But like I
Um,
said, I
Yeah,
think the fire
we should
station,
meet with selectmen first and just talk to them.
Yeah,
I can write to Susan Kane and just let her know. that we want to
Okay.
discuss it.
all right, I don't know if you want me to
No,
reach out to
I'm-
one of them
yeah.
first.
I'm happy to do that.
Okay,
I gotta send some stuff off to you guys anyway, on the Preservation Massachusetts and other things.
okay, all right, that sounds like a good idea, that sounds like a good first step.
Yep.
We kind of got two avenues, but I think the selectmen's a good first step. And that's all that's on the agenda.
Any new business? Did you finish the cemetery?
Oh, I finished the photos, yes, and the marker survey, Sue has it now, so it's.
Oh, she
it's
finished
the
the
field work is pretty much done.
Documentation of
Yeah.
Pine Grove Cemetery.
Oh, and the.
Am I getting a copy of that?
Probably when Sue finishes, she's like renumbering and stuff right now, so probably when that's all set, then there'll be
'Cause-
like a final copy that we can
'Cause
hopefully make many copies of
Yeah.
for the archive and.
cemeteries, marsh, and yearbooks. Those are like
The things.
my main questions. So that's why I'm like, can I get a copy?
Sure.
Yeah.
The Evergreen Cemetery, the Boy Scouts just did an Eagle Scout project there where they, that was for the VFW, so they were identifying the, people who were in, part of the military for the VFW. They just, like a week ago, did all the,
It's funny, I just got something through our real estate office, and they're asking if any of the agents were in the military as well, so there must be something afoot.
How did they do that?
they just walked around and recorded what was on
The stone.
yeah.
So if it
Because usually
wasn't
there's a
on the
plaque there anyway.
stone, how would they know?
How would they
whether-
know? I don't know. I don't know, there might have
There's
been
usually a
further
plaque,
that
there's a
they.
plaquing campaign, isn't there, with the
Well,
metal?
I believe the plaques are only World War I and forward.
Those round metal things are only, you have to buy those. The family has to buy those.
Yeah.
Those aren't owned by the
No.
town.
Or the government doesn't know
Emerson's
either.
book has,
Mhm.
I believe, Emerson's book has everybody in Douglas that served during the Civil War. And it might also have had the
Well,
Revolutionary War.
The DAR would have all your Revolutionary
Yeah.
soldiers.
But
So-
Emerson did have all the Civil War soldiers in there.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, wasn't
There's a database
participating, I
online
just
too.
got my kid off for it, but anyway, but I should maybe tell, they might not realize, the cemetery commission might not realize that was done, they might be able to use it in some way, right?
Evergreen is private.
Oh,
It's not a
so-
public cemetery.
Oh, interesting, okay, so they don't need to know this.
No.
Although
Okay.
the archive might be interested in it.
The archive would be interested.
Is that you?
That's me.
Okay.
But I'm just telling you that that's a private,
Yeah. The
privately
only,
funded.
the only public are,
Douglas Center,
Cemetery.
Pine Grove, and South Street.
Right.
Okay,
Those are the three public ones.
that's it, huh? Three.
Yeah.
and
Okay.
there's 11 or 12 on that list you gave me.
Oh gosh, I thought there was 16.
Yeah, that's right, like 15 or 16.
Yeah.
Those
I have
are
a
the
map
ones off in the
somewhere,
woods.
too.
Well, yeah, you gave me, you might have combined a couple.
Probably.
Like, you might have just been like.
Yeah, 'cause there was one the road went through, and they just ran over whatever was there, but that was a whole cemetery at the corner of Pine and Vine.
Pine and Pine, right?
Yes, that was a whole cemetery down there, and then the
Okay.
roads went through on their own. And, so it looks
Okay.
like there's one here and the one there and one over here, but it was
Oh.
actually just one whole
Oh,
one.
okay, interesting. So, do you want me to get you in touch
Yeah,
with them?
yeah, if you could, that'd be great.
Sure.
Because like I said, cemeteries, yearbooks, and the Marsh book, that's what people are interested in.
Right.
Those are like the three,
Hot buttons, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. I guess that's it. Right. I took notes on the fire station, but it's nothing new. It's just like a lot of ideas that aren't really viable, and then everybody's like, it's falling down, there's no parking, blah, blah, blah. So I think we.
Yeah.
Does anybody have an update on the Historical Society? I mean, I know
can give you
that's
an update on the
outside, but
historical society.
that's a historic building that if they financially cannot longer maintain it, you know, I don't know if that's something that we should,
So
I
the.
don't know about get involved with, but having been
Yeah,
involved,
the
and
building,
not
the building's
involved.
standing, and there's.
The building is still standing.
That's the good news.
Yeah.
And there's, I don't know, there's like a lot of reinvigoration in the board with a lot of
There
the
is, yep.
changes. So they did, I don't know how to call it exactly, but like an engineering type of survey they came in to look at the whole building, like making recommendations, looking at like the alarm system and looking at what insurance for the building needs to be done and what, might need to be done, short and long term. There was I don't know if people know this, but in '94, they paid for an assessment to be done by a woman who's a historian type, to say this, this is what the, where it stands now.
They
this is
had
what-
they had a couple of assessments done.
So I read through the whole thing and gave like a summary to the board, which we'll look at on the July 9th meeting. And it was, a lot of it was the same as it was 25 years ago, but what you had done upstairs with the furniture, what I had done with the textiles that Betsy got me started with, that was what some of the big changes. They said like blackout curtains and UV light, UV stuff everywhere. I think that's
Mhm.
something that should be done. We have one room with a blackout curtain as far as I know.
Well, the windows have been UV sprayed.
Okay, but then that needs it every 10 years. I don't know when
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
done.
The thing, like I said, I want to say I found 4 or 5 different assessments,
Wow.
and they would come in, they do the assessment, and then they kind of just
I think financing was always a difficult thing.
yeah. So a lot of assessments done, not a lot of.
Yeah, there's some money, there's money that's been set aside in savings accounts for, for grants and things like that.
Mhm.
So I was wondering about Gina Betty too, like some grant
Yeah,
writers.
yep.
And there's one gal who I haven't met yet who's supposed to be good at this sort of thing, and trying to get some of that going. And there's been a few ideas floated for like more fundraiser stuff. But the problem that I think everybody knows with that, and that I rack my brain about, is like, how do you get the community more involved there? 'Cause
Correct.
It's like always like, wow, I've never seen the inside of this. I've driven by it a million times.
Yeah.
I know there's
Or
a-
then you have people who have been like, I've seen the inside of this a million times and nothing's changed.
Yeah, and that's how I feel, and I'm like, oh, it looks so boring in here, But if I was walking in the first time, I probably wouldn't feel that way. But it does. Like, I think feeding people really helps. We do well with the Oktoberfest, but obviously you have a captive audience, and but it's always a pull to get people to go to programs and things like that, and some of it was like, oh, the food invites pests, but mice and
Liability
bugs and
issues.
stuff. But at the same time, if you don't feed them, no one's coming. So,
True.
in general,
Maybe we should bring food to this, to our
I think we
meetings.
should. We should have
Some bagels
breakfast.
and cream cheese and
Would have been
all that
earlier if I had. We had breakfast here.
See?
Ribs, we'll have ribs, I tell you.
So I don't know. So it's like, I don't know if there's some involvement that we want to have informally or formally with the society too. But there's like,
Well, I think an update in that, because I think one of the best options we have is to keep connected with
okay, so
the
I
rest
can,
of the
why don't
community.
I, like, the next time we meet, I'll like keep notes for the commission, and
Yes,
be
and
able to
just, you can
update.
just say to them, they're interested in the well-being of
The
this.
status and.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't need any dramatics. but-
Yeah, I do have a question for you, if you wouldn't mind, is the paper, I was trying to figure out what our standards should be to save the paper. I know some of it had moved to the library, but not everything.
Honestly, the paper's not going to do great in that building.
Right.
That's why everything was getting
Right.
slowly moved to the library. The paper in that building is not going to survive.
Because it's not in a controlled relative humidity environment.
and I mean, even in that upstairs room, it's
There's
too,
no air conditioning.
it's
There's
too
no-
hot.
Yeah,
Right.
It is.
It's
So-
way too hot upstairs.
Yep.
And too much stuff just got thrown into boxes. It hasn't been foldered, it hasn't been organized, it just got thrown in. So now you've got a bunch of papers sitting on top of each other, which is just causing it to disintegrate even more.
So what should it should have like, it should be an archival folder, is that what you're saying?
That's why I was slowly trying to move stuff to the library, but I got a lot of pushback.
Yeah, so some of it's, the Coppola collection is
Coppola's
there,
all I've got.
and that's it.
And Coppola is by the Coppola family, is to be shared between the Historical Society and the library.
Yep.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yes, and the Historical Society voted to keep
Yes,
it
I was
there.
there.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
but I still had to fight for getting that there, but it was
Right.
sitting on a table and the ceiling was falling down on it.
So, so the paper now is upstairs in that room?
It's,
like that
it's in the
dining room
kitchen.
table?
It's in the kitchen.
The paper's in the kitchen?
Paper's in the kitchen. Oh, the upstairs, where the old kitchen was.
Oh, in the old kitchen.
The kitchen, the kitchen
Yeah,
with the
not in that
bathroom off
kitchen.
of it.
I was like, what?
We had to name the room, so we knew where we were all,
Right.
where we were going, but yeah.
Okay. But it should be in archival boxes and folders.
But so here's. one
It
of-
should be in that building.
yeah.
Correct.
And the thing is, you could go ahead and put in archival boxes and folders, but if you're not
Controlling it.
if you're not processing it, there's no point in putting it into archival boxes and folders.
Meaning like a database or something.
Like what I've done.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
I
And
mean,
what-
my other question too is, if you want community involvement, how do you give access to the community to what you have?
One of the ideas that I liked in that the last proposal I was reading was like a community day, and you have volunteers who aren't normally involved. You know, maybe everyone reaches out to a couple of friends, and either like a cleaning day where you're like getting stuff all like cleaned out and whatever, and people are kind of like, oh, look at this stuff, or like, or something where you're like promoting for a certain. We're trying to buy, you know, archival boxes, and we want everybody
But
to.
now you're giving people the chance to handle stuff that hasn't been processed. You're giving people the problem with that is you're not controlling it.
Yeah. I'm not saying like the whole town's invited, it's
Yeah,
more like
but-
you invite and this.
But like at the library, I'm the only one allowed to show people the archival
Yeah.
stuff. And I show them with me sitting.
Yeah, you're right, you're like, I can't, yeah. just-
I'm right there, I am a part of it.
Mhm.
Because otherwise you're not controlling what information you have. You're not controlling who's looking at what. You're there with your pen and you're not paying attention, you're going like this.
Yeah,
Well, what if you've got a document right there?
and someone, yeah, writes on it.
It's that kind of stuff that, like I said, the collections need to be processed before you can really let anybody in them, and it's gotta be controlled if you wanna
Yeah,
preserve.
and what I would like to see if it's like a midterm goal is like maybe there's a room that has an air conditioner in it or something where there's like some way to
You
control.
also don't, the Historical Society has no idea what they have. If you ask them for
Yeah.
anything, when people have asked them for things, they don't have no
Right.
clue.
So are
So you have no inventory either.
Right.
That's
So
what I
they-
I
tried
like the
to
Google
start.
Doc for the
Right.
textiles now, that's one thing.
Well,
but that's one thing.
they've inventoried the, items. They've ignored the manuscripts.
Correct.
That's what all the paper is, it's called manuscripts. They've
Okay.
ignored it completely.
Okay, the items meaning like a three-dimensional.
The
yeah.
physical collection, if you look under the long table, you'll see all of the old Historic Society documents.
Okay.
That's where we ended up putting them. But the paper, the manuscripts have been completely ignored.
Okay. Okay. And they haven't been documented in any way.
We had just started getting things organized and
Yeah. So what program did you is it on, or would you suggest?
it's not, I use finding aids that I learned in grad school and working at the Worcester Historical Museum.
Is there one you'd suggest for someone who doesn't have a degree?
It's a template that I use, that's the problem.
Okay.
It's not a program, I use Word and I've got my template and I just go based on that.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
If you want, we can make a time to sit down and I can kind of walk you through what I've done in the basement at the
Yeah.
library so you have an idea.
Yeah. Okay.
But like I said, one of the biggest problems is,
Same thing for the photos. If they're gonna curl and whatever, if they're not in
Right.
Right.
the. Yeah.
Yep. I had a couple volunteers that were gonna come in, put them in albums, once they
Mhm.
scanned in and that kind of.
and then you've got all the ones that are in frames that are falling apart.
Right.
That they need to be taken out of the frames, probably buy an archival box and then
Yeah.
layer them with tissue paper.
The archival tissue,
Is that what we had said?
Yes,
which we have.
right.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that would be good. All right. All right.
So we are adjourning, 10:08 a.m.
All in favor?
I
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.